In the world of 1984, a running and near comical theme is the shifting alliance and enemy arrangement between the three great superstates of the world. In the novel, the war shifts, and since the enemy of the moment is always cast as the epitome of evil, and the party always right in its decisions, no shift in geopolitical reality can be tolerated, hence the infamous phrase, Oceania is at war with Eurasia. Oceania has always been at war with Eurasia, or vice versa. Interestingly though we do see changes during the plot and have Winston recall changes in the war over the years, it's never admitted whether Oceania is the one targeted by an alliance of the other two. So is this a thing? Do Eurasia and Eastasia ever ally against Oceania? Welcome to 1984 lore, and today we delve more into the speculative sphere of the world, though firmly based on what the lore implies. To answer this question right off the bat, I would have to say no, the war is never simply the other two superstates against just Oceania. However, this must be qualified from within the context of the universe, and, in particular, the ideology of Ingsoc. This is crucial in understanding why, at least from both the party and also Winston's perspective, the war is always fought in alliance with either Eurasia or Eastasia against the other power, and never against both simultaneously. For those new to the geopolitics of 1984, or the novel in general, Orwell's dystopian world of 1984 is divided into four broad territories straddling the globe. Three superstates, Oceania, Eurasia and Eastasia, exist, with the remainder of inhabited territory within a rough quadrilateral region between them being fought over by them. For more on this, check out 1984 Lore's video on the geopolitics of the world before returning to our question today. To understand why in universe the war is always fought, not only against one of the other powers in alliance with the third, but must always have been so according to the party, we must understand the nature of Oceanian society and ideology. One crucial plank in the party's maintenance of its power over its people is its infallibility, or at least perceived infallibility. Quote, Oceanic society rests ultimately on the belief that Big Brother is omnipotent and that the party is infallible. But since, in reality, Big Brother is not omnipotent and the party is not infallible, there is a need for an unvarying moment-to-moment flexibility in the treatment of facts. Since the enemy of the moment is always held up to be the pinnacle of evil, their actions barbarous outrages that are, in fact, not so different from the acts of the other powers, the enemy must nonetheless have always been the enemy. Hence the infamous phrase, Oceania is at war with insert Eurasia or Eastasia. Oceania has always been at war with Eurasia or Eastasia. This must be so, as the logic of Oceania's dogma demands it. If a shift in allegiance is openly acknowledged, then, by definition, Big Brother and the party have changed their minds, or have been forced to do so. This betrays a weakness that cannot be tolerated, as this means the party cannot be infallible, and Big Brother cannot be omnipotent. In a very in-universe sense then, perhaps the only sense that matters, Oceania by definition cannot be at war with both powers, as this not only breaks the current trend of righteous allies fighting the eternal one enemy, but also opens the possibility that Oceania itself is that one sole great enemy as the lone defender against two otherworld powers. Pushing back against this reasoning, if, dear viewers, you have watched 1984 Lore's video on the geopolitics of 1984, you may be wondering why such a dangerous realization doesn't hit the citizens of either Eurasia or Eastasia. One fact admitted within Goldstein's book is that both superstates are very similar to Oceania in ideology, if not nearly indistinguishable. The answer can be found in this ideology's epistemological outlook, as O'Brien so brutally impresses upon Winston in the later torture scenes of the novel. If the party collectively says, for example, he floats, then he floats. Since the party controls all records and, in theory, all living brains and recollections, it controls the reality of the moment by its control of the past. In this way, even if Eastasia and Eurasia were both simultaneously at war with Oceania, the reality would still be that Oceania fights just one and never both. This method of reality control is almost certainly in place in both Eurasia and Eastasia too. Hence, despite the very physical reality in shifts in allegiance, the in-universe reality would always be that Oceania is at war with just one enemy at any one time. This may seem a cop-out of sorts, but is actually perfectly consistent with the world of 1984. Even Winston struggles to keep track of the ever-shifting changes in opponent across the years, with both Julia and the old man in the prol pub even failing to distinguish between them. As explained in Goldstein's book 2, the citizens of each superstate are heavily controlled and very sparingly exposed to foreigners. All information about the war is fed to them via the party. With no real standard of comparison, what the party agrees must be, another frightening reality of the world of 1984. In fact, at one stage, Julia theorizes that the war may not even be happening at all. Constant bombing attacks are actually the government bombing its own people. Whatever the case, since all information is tightly controlled and collectively agreed upon and imposed, the reality is always that Oceania is at war with just one enemy, in an alliance with the remaining power. So, there we have it, why Oceania is never at war with both Eurasia and Eastasia. Now, repeat after me, dear brothers and sisters. We are subscribed to 1984 lore. We have always been subscribed to 1984 lore. Therefore, if the facts differ from our reality, the facts themselves must change. And remember, Big Brother is watching you.